They never expected karma to look like this. They thought they got away with it. They lied. They manipulated. They twisted the story. They blamed you for things that they did. They made you question your own reality. And then they walked away like nothing happened. Maybe you watched them smiling in pictures. Maybe you've watched them move on like you never mattered. Maybe you've watched other people believe their version of the story. Maybe you've even sat there wondering, how can someone hurt another human being like that and never face a consequence? If you've ever asked yourself that, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not crazy. Because when someone causes pain and seems completely unaffected by it, it can make you question everything. It can make you wonder if honesty ever matters, if integrity matters, if being a good person matters. Because from where you're standing, it looks like they're winning. It looks like life rewarded the person who hurt you and punished the person who tried to love or forgive, understand, or stay. You weren't waiting for revenge. You were waiting for reality to make sense. You were waiting for something, anything that reminded you that this world still had balance, because it felt like they walked away with a clean slate while you walked away carrying all the damage. But here's what they never expected. They believed that consequences only counted if everyone could see them. They thought karma had to be loud, public, immediate, obvious. They never imagined that some of life's greatest consequences happen quietly. See, they thought they got away with what they did to you. What they never realized was that every choice they made was shaping the person they were becoming. Think about that. Every lie made lying easier. Every manipulation made manipulation more natural. Every betrayal trained them to betray again. Every excuse made accountability feel more foreign. They didn't just create painful moments. They created painful patterns. And some of them genuinely believed they would never face consequences. They believed that they could treat people however they wanted, lie, manipulate, use people, discard people, break people's trust, break people's heart, destroy your confidence, and walk away, and somehow never reap what they had sown. But look at you. Look at who you're becoming. Because maybe the greatest form of karma isn't simply what happens to them. Maybe it's what happened for you. They tried to break you, and instead they introduced you to a version of yourself you might have never discovered otherwise. They tried to keep you small, and now you're growing beyond every limitation they tried to place on you. They underestimated what pain would produce inside of you. They thought suffering would make you bitter, but instead it made you wiser. They thought that the betrayal would destroy your future, but instead it became the very thing that pushed you toward it. Understand this. The greatest revenge has never been revenge. The greatest revenge is your growth, your healing, your self-development, your peace, your confidence, your ability to smile again without needing their permission, your ability to build a life they can no longer control, your ability to sit at the table that God prepared for you in the presence of your enemies, in the presence of those who doubted you, those who opposed you, those who hated on you, those who were jealous of you, those who tried their hardest to break you down, to keep you down, to convince you that you would never become more than the version of yourself they wanted you to stay. They never expected this version of you. And that's exactly why karma doesn't always look like someone's life falling apart. Sometimes it looks like yours is finally coming together. And patterns have a way of following people wherever they go. That's why some people have the same relationship with different faces, the same arguments with different people, the same ending over and over and over again. Different names, different cities, different jobs, different partners, but the same pattern. Because they never addressed the one thing that kept showing up, themselves. And that's the part most people never talk about. You see, karma isn't always losing money. Karma isn't always getting exposed. Karma isn't always watching your life fall apart overnight. Sometimes karma is becoming someone who can no longer experience the very thing they're searching for. Real trust, real intimacy, real peace, real connection. Because when every relationship is built on control, you eventually forget how to love without controlling. When every relationship is built on manipulation, you eventually stop knowing how to connect without manipulating. When every relationship is built on deception, you begin wondering why no one believes you anymore. And it's not because life is trying to punish you, but because the life you're living is reflecting the person you've become. Now, here's where I want to shift something for you, because I know how easy it is to keep watching them, to keep wondering, to keep waiting for that moment when life finally balances the scales. But what if your freedom was never supposed to begin with their consequences? What if your freedom began the moment you stopped carrying responsibility for lessons that didn't belong to you? That's a completely different way of looking at it. This is why I always say the truth becomes impossible to ignore once you stop arguing with what you keep experiencing. And for some people, that truth shows up as growth. But for others, it shows up as repetition. The question is never whether our choices matter. The question is, what kind of future are those choices creating? That's why I wrote Phoenix from Stability to Power. Because there comes a point where you stop asking, when are they going to change? And you start asking, who am I becoming because of everything I've survived? That's the turning point. That's where your power comes back. Because Phoenix isn't about getting even. It's about refusing to let someone else's decisions become the blueprint for the rest of your life. It's about rebuilding trust in yourself, recognizing unhealthy patterns sooner, choosing peace without feeling guilty for it, and creating a future that's no longer held hostage by your past. They never expected karma to look like this. They thought consequences would come from the outside. They never imagined the greatest consequences could be carrying the same patterns into every room they walk into. And they never expected you to stop waiting for life to prove your worth because you finally learned to see it yourself. You see, the real victory wasn't watching them lose. The real victory was realizing you didn't have to lose yourself waiting for it. Peace, blessings, love, and power.